Greetings and welcome to A Sip of Inspiration. I'm Stephanie Wilson Coleman, the Empowerment Doctor. I want to thank you all for joining me for tonight's segment. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about job preparedness. Now, before we get started, I want you all to get pencil and paper in hand. You know, as always, when you watch me on this show, there's always a lot of information. There's always a lot to learn. There's always a lot of questions, and we try to provide you questions. So, to get started, our topic tonight is job preparedness. And I have met at least 20 people this week alone who've had the very same question. What do I need to do to find a job? It's difficult in the job market today. Or, you know what? This economy is keeping me from finding a job. I have decided, and I believe, that it's not the economy that's keeping you from finding a job. Sometimes we are just not prepared for the all-encompassing job hunt. So I went online and did a little bit of research, and I have in me my handy folder with a lot of tips. And this is what your job research should look like. So you don't just go in a place, fill out an application, have an interview, and then expect to be hired on the spot. There are actually processes behind each one. We're going to start from the very beginning. We're going to start with the job application itself. Now, a lot of people will look online, a lot of people will look in the newspaper, you'll look on bulletin boards, you'll check your placement center if you're in college, you ask friends and you ask family members, where is a job? You ask, who's hiring? He says, I'm looking for work. Do you know anybody? You check with all of the people you know, and then you get some leads. And then you get yourself up and you go and you fill out that dreaded application. I pulled down today a couple of samples of applications, and I wanted to discuss the information that each application that you will fill out has in common. Of course, there is your name. I want you to go through the applications when you first get to an potential employer. Read through the entire application first before you fill in one block. You do this so you can familiarize yourself with the format of the application. I know that all applications ask the same information, but what I've discovered just in my preliminary search is that they ask it in different manners. For instance, some will ask you for your first name first, and then your middle name and your last name. Some will ask you for your last name first, and then your first name and your middle name. So all too often we do things just automatically. We're used to putting our last name first, then our first name and our middle name, and we often make a mistake and put our last name in a column that actually asks for our first name. That's a signal to the employer that you are not paying attention. So first, pay very close attention to the information. Read it twice. The next thing is come prepared to list the names of your high school, of your college, and even your junior high in some cases. List their names, list the addresses. Have with you the city, the state, the zip code, and the phone number. So this is all work that you need to have prepared for you prior to going into the place to fill out the application. Also, if they ask for references, I want you to have complete information for 2 to 3 people who you will use as references. Now, you just don't put anybody's name on the application as a reference. I want you to contact the people in advance and let them know that I'm going to be filling out some job applications in the near future, and may I have your permission to list you as a reference on the application. If they know in advance, they won't be taken by surprise when the people call. Not only will they not be taken by surprise, they will be ready to defend you or to let people know all of the great things about you. When you contact these potential references, I want you to also ask them, you know, when they call you, what kinds of things will you be sharing about me? Because you need to know what they're going to be sharing about you. If you're especially applying for a job, say, with the city, the state, or even the federal government, they're going to do background checks, and it's kind of nice to know what people would maybe say in advance. Also, they ask for salary. Don't fall in the salary trap so early in the game. Always put negotiable unless, of course, you know exactly what the job pays. It also will ask you for previous employment. You list the last job first, the job before that one second, and the job before that one third. You may want to practice this at home on a piece of paper, because if you get the dates incorrect, an employer is there going to conclude that you're not paying attention and that you don't pay attention to details. And every job that you apply for generally requires that you pay attention to details. You list the company's name, the complete name. You list their address, your job title, the responsibilities, and that's just a couple of words or a couple of sentences. You list your beginning salary or your ending salary. If you don't remember what your beginning salary is, just put unknown or don't remember. And then your ending salary, it doesn't have to be exact, but get as close to it as you can. Salary information is available to employers through the Employment Security Division, so resist the temptation to inflate your salary. It is too easily verified. When it says reasons for leaving, I want you to not talk about things like an argument with an employee or a disagreement with your supervisor. Say things like you wanted to pursue different interests, or you wanted to learn something new. Say those kinds of things. I want you to resist the temptation to try to get somebody back, because this application is not about getting anybody back. This application is the actual first shot that you have of presenting yourself to the employer. And this application goes in without you. So the employer doesn't get to see you, doesn't get to talk to you. You have to sum up the best of who you are right here in this application. Oftentimes there will be a blank spot at the bottom of the application that will say, tell us of any additional qualifications that you may have for the position. I want you to have something prepared to write in that block. In that block, I want you to talk about the skills that you have. I want you to have something prepared to talk about what you learned, or even some of the successes that you've had in previous employment. I want you to use that block also to talk about some of the leadership types of positions you've had. And leadership can be found in Girl Scouts, if you remember the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, if you had a position in the student council at school, if you have a position at church, if you have a position in your neighborhood watch. All those kinds of things go in that block. So that's a lot of work for you to do prior to even stepping foot into the job site to fill out an application. It will ask you if they can contact your current employer. If you are currently employed, I would suggest you check the no box and make an explanation that says, please contact me before you're going to contact my employer. And then you get to explain later that your employer doesn't really know that you're looking for a job. But the other employers, they're going to want to contact. They'll want to get a reference from those other employers. Make sure that you make it easy for them. So that takes care of the job application. Now, most people have resumes. Resumes are very nice. I think everyone should have a resume. I want you to carry your resume with you, and I want you to attach your resume to your job application. Do not write on your job application anything that says "see resume." The reason is this. Often your application will be separated from your resume. Your resume will go one direction in that corporation, and your application will go another direction in that corporation. So in that company, if they have an application that says "see resume," they don't have your resume. And they have so many other applications that they have to review that they're just going to lay yours aside. So the same information on your resume should be the same information that you put on your job application. On your resume, I've seen too many resumes that are cute, too many resumes that are on a bunch of colored paper, too many resumes that are too long. Resumes should be limited to 1 page. If you are trying to cover 20+ years experience, then you get a pass and you get to have 2 pages. However, in no situation should you have more than 2 pages unless you're a PhD with a Vita and then you have a long story to tell, or you're a Nobel Prize winner. Okay, so 2 pages, 1 page preferably. I want you to use light colored paper. Resist blues and pinks and oranges and yellows and any of those other papers out there, because what begins to happen is, as a person has a lot of resumes, they're not too interested at that point at the color of the paper as much as they are at the content of the paper. And you don't want to be sure that you send the wrong signals. The person who's actually looking at the resume may not like blue. It may be their least favorite color. If it's their least favorite color, then they're not going to look at your resume. They may not like yellow. They may not like pink. So stick with whites, off-whites, and those kind of shades. Use a very good quality of paper. Now, you don't have to spend a lot of money on paper, but I would use something a little heavier than the 20-pound paper that you find in the copy machine. Just go a little bit heavier so that it has some weight to it. Do a spell check. Now, do several spell checks on your resume. Because in all of the computer programs, you know that if you have spelled a word correctly, but it is the wrong word to use in that sentence, it will not be signaled out in a spell check. It won't be separate. It'll look like it flows just nicely, and it'll be the wrong word. So I want you to read it and read it and read it. And after you have proofed it 2 or 3 times, put it aside for a few hours and then come back and make sure that it reads nicely. There are a lot of examples online of very good, simple resumes, and there are even programs like Resume Maker that can help you with samples of programs that are in the field in which you are looking for work, that can give you some ideas about how to structure your resume. Now, if you've got a lot of experience, then you want to use an accomplishment-based type of resume. If you don't have a lot of experience, then maybe you want to use a position-based resume. That's a decision that you would have to make, but there are a lot of them. Resist the temptation to use the templates that you find exactly as you see them. So, we've got a call right now, so we're going to take this caller. Hi, Tanisha, how you doing?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hello?
Hi. I can hear you just fine.
I wanted to know what should you wear to an interview?
What should you wear to an interview? We were going to cover that later, but
yes.
We'll go over right now. If you are a woman and you're going to an interview, first thing is you have got to be well-groomed. And this goes for men and women. Women should have their hair should be neat. However you wear it today, it's okay. I mean, you know, dreadlocks are perfectly acceptable. Dreadlocks are perfectly acceptable in the workplace. Perms are, braids are. Those are perfectly acceptable in the workplace, but they should be very neat. You don't want your hair to be a distraction for the interviewer. You only get a short period of time in an interview to convince the employer that you are the right person for the job. So don't have them wondering what's going on with your hair or your head. Now, if you are a male, that means you need to have a haircut. It needs to be a neat haircut. It doesn't necessarily have to be a short haircut, just a neat haircut. If you wear dreads, they need to be neat. Also, this is not the time to wear your Mr. T starter set to the interview. You are to have a simple necklace on, a watch, and maybe a ring, a very simple ring. That is all as far as jewelry is concerned. Do not wear fragrances. You don't know who may be allergic to the fragrances that you have on, and the worst thing to do is to make the interviewer sick or ill because of your fragrances. So do not wear fragrances. Make sure that you shower that day, and make sure that there is no body odor. Make sure you brush your teeth, you floss your teeth, and you use mouthwash, because the worst thing is to have to talk to someone in an interview and you can't get past the breath. Make sure that you wear a nice, neat suit. Now, for women, nothing short. Because when you're going into organizations, no one wants to look at you and think that you could possibly be the cause of a sexual harassment case. Nothing short. Dresses down to the knees. They don't have to be below the knees, but they should be down to the knees. And you should have on nice, neat blouse. Everything needs to be ironed, nothing wrinkled. You should wear shoes that have been polished, and the heels are in good shape, and the soles are in good shape. It doesn't matter if it's a a flat shoe or heel, but if it's a heel, I would resist the temptation to wear very high heels. I want you to wear very sensible shoes, and you should wear hose. Guys, wear an undershirt underneath your shirt. Nobody wants to see your chest hairs. So an undershirt underneath your shirt should be ironed, your shirt should be tucked into your pants. As guys call it, your gait line should be straight, which means that your shirt should be buttoned and down to the pants, all one straight line, because you don't want your clothing to be a distraction. Your clothes, too, need to be clean, they need to be ironed, and they need to be understated. Suits should be black, gray, or navy, and nothing really, really loud. We're going to take a break right now. I want you all to stay tuned. To hope that answered your question, Tanisha. We'll be right back.
There was a message in its melody, sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. He said, tomorrow is another day. Living is the only way. Tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words.